So welcome, Kashmira. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I know that you have been through the Core Business Foundations program, and I really wanted to get your feedback of your experience and how you found the program. So firstly, share for everyone today who you are and what your business is.
Yes. So, Anne-Marie, first of all, thank you for asking me because, oh my gosh, I want to shout it from the rooftop. So when you called and said, it's like, oh my gosh, yes, let's do this. I'm Kashmira Mody, and I'm India-based transformation coach. And in plain English, what I do is I support individuals and businesses to be able to find success and significance while staying aligned to their value and vision.
I love that.
That's the intro, but I have to say to you that this entire introduction was also an outcome of that program I did with you. So it'd be remiss if I didn't say it straight off the bat, because it just flows now. And I've had so many clients saying it's really interesting that wherever we read about you, LinkedIn, Facebook, your videos, you're saying the same thing. Like there's no gap. And before I did the program with you, Anne Marie, I'm getting right into this, but I'm going to say it that it. I would have thought, oh, that's so boring, but that's not really. I think the reiteration actually builds brand.
Yes.
So that was, yeah. So
And I'm glad you said that, because one of the questions, and I will ask you this in a moment, what was your business like before? Because so often when we go through a growth stage, when we revisit where we've come from, we realize how significant some of the simple changes, and I know that you've made some significant changes, but some of the simple things that you think putting a consistent message across different platforms can be so significant. In that, someone commented today to me that said, I've recommended someone that connect with you because in one particular profile, when I asked her a question, actually, that was the question. When I asked her a question about what she did and how she was in her business, she said, yeah, all of that's covered. But then when I had a look around the socials, there was nothing there to showcase where she was. So business building, your reputation is really so important. And sometimes it's the simplest of things that can make so much of the impact, isn't it? So take us back. And I know it was around the time that we met was when things started to be turned down or turned off. Travel was started to be cancelled. So take us back to what was happening then.
okay, so I did the program with you August of 2020, and it's interesting because our world in India stopped on the 24th of March 2020 when India announced a comprehensive and total lockdown. And so in August, things were just, I mean, we were just beginning to be able to go out and have, like exercise walks. So, unlike other countries, because of the population, we weren't allowed to leave our house at all, not even to exercise. And, grocery shopping was limited to about 50 meters. So, the reason I'm giving you this background is you can imagine the mindset, right? So, the first month was like, oh, yeah, vacation. But then, one starts to, like, I started to think, oh my gosh, I mean, this is going to go on. This is not going to end like in 3 minutes. And what am I going to do? And I had been coaching online. So it wasn't so much meeting clients on face, but what the clients needed. And because now suddenly everybody was online and the noise was so high, how do you then stand out and, show yourself out? So my mind was, I need to use this time to really validate to myself that what I'm offering is still relevant to my clients. And who is my client then? So, and then I mean, very serendipity is a beautiful thing. I heard about you actually. I thought maybe I should do a podcast. This is my thought, that then I'd be able to directly talk to people rather than putting stuff up randomly. This is my thought. And I reached out to you, and you, spoke to me about this core program. And I thought, yes. I had a yes in my heart immediately on two. One is, it had been so long, and Anne Marie, you will know this because you work with coaches. Being a coach is a lonely business because the only people you're working with are your clients, right? You're not really, don't have so much peer review. So I thought it would be nice to have be coached as well as have a peer review. Like see what other coaches are doing. Who else is up to what in different parts of the world? And so that's what I'm thinking. I sign up, and I have to say, I was extremely lucky that you were doing kind of a beta version of the first, like a yeah. So I was able to come in and afford it at that time. I mean, you're talking already 6 months of living off my savings because I hadn't had any coaching for those first 5 or 6 months of lockdown, and that's where I am at. I come in to this program, and the only thing I was clear was I need to really know if I'm still relevant, and two, that I really need to spend some time learning to receive. Now this was what I'm doing as I walk in, and I have to tell you what I actually received. Um, I mean, talk about not, like talk about opening the door. It was like floodgates, huh?
And sometimes it's
So
like you don't know what you don't know till you start, and all of a sudden all of these golden nuggets. And I know you're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment, because I think when we were first talking, you were saying that your business also involved you traveling to Australia quite regularly through the year, holding events and things like that. And of course, that was being challenged when all of the lockdowns in Australia locked down as well. So a
And
lot.
it's not just Australia, right? Like every place that I coach, Anne Marie, I go to the client side because the client cannot fly 10 people to me. So, typically I will coach the person in charge and the top 10 reportees. Now, those people are not going to all come on a plane. So I have to come to them. All of that stopped. And all of those leaders were very busy in crisis management, that they had their own very big problems. So suddenly they didn't have space for coaching till much later in the pandemic, where then the coaching really kicked up. But in the first few months, they were just firefighting. A
Yeah.
lot of them had no digital processes. I mean, they had their own problems. So, yes, you're right. I mean, about that time, I had a complete halt because all my existing revenue, high paying revenue, the corporate clients, the overseas clients, they were, till something changed in our near visibility, it was stopped. And I have to tell you, in August of 2020, it felt like it stopped forever. It didn't really, at least in India, it didn't feel like things will come back ever to normal. It really felt like, oh my gosh, we've just stepped into a brand new world.
Yes, no one
Uh,
has ever experienced anything like that before in the significant scale that it was. It was really something I think that took everyone by surprise, and required some really serious soul searching and stock taking, I guess, because of the mental impact. I think because when people are thrust in situations like that, and then so what I really honor in you is that you did say, I'm going to invest in myself, because often in those times what we do is we go kind of into that shock mode, bit of panic, and we kind of retract, don't we? But you decided, I'm going to set the intention, I'm going to learn, I'm going to develop. And as you said, there were a lot of things that you didn't even realize that you would learn that has been quite a significant impact for you. So what were some of the ahas? Take us back to that as you were going through the program. What were some of the ahas you had?
because I want to just talk to this investment piece,
Yeah.
Anne Marie. As you know, I operate out of India, and because of the way the quality of life is and the cost of living the ability to charge clients um, is different than it would be in the West, right? And the same thing that if for those who hire a coach in India can get the benefit of a lower fee because my cost of living is lower. I pay lower rent, I pay lower everything. I have lower insurance rates, so I can operate at world class levels and still. So it's not really like a outsourcing model, it's just a quality, a cost of living difference, right? So the same thing happens in the reverse direction when a lot of people want to invest in courses, right? I mean, people are thinking of courses on YouTube and Udemy. Oh, everything is free, and we can just search on YouTube. I tell you, and I want to say this to anybody who would listen to this, it's such a big difference. See, the first thing is when you make an investment, it stops being casual. It becomes a commitment, right? I mean, you're not dating anymore. You are making a commitment. Now, so this is the first thing. And the second thing is that when you are in a paid program, a coach or the person who's facilitating it has designed it in a specific way that's different than the resources that that person would offer for free. Like, let's take you, you have so much information and resources available at no cost. But the growth, the coaching, Kashmira, you need this, your ability to inspect and correct can only happen in a paid program. So, you're really, so that is not the same. It's not the same, right? And I think that I think people really need to pay attention to, because when you do the cost, and I did a little bit of homework on this, Anne Marie, the ROI analysis, right? Like, it really works out to not, in India, I'm not talking about work, not eating out once a week for me. Like, in the course of the program, that was the difference.
Yeah.
But we look at a number and think, oh, but, and we're still, I mean, dollars are leaking out of our pocket all the time. So it's just a matter of priority.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
I mean,
And we don't think of the cost of not investing in ourselves, because it may take us a lot longer to get to the outcome that we're looking for. We may never get there because we don't know the things that we don't know. And we could leave significant money on the table. I mean, I've done that myself. And whenever I have stepped forward and invested in myself through investing in expertise and a mentor and a coach and a trainer, it has always paid off in dividends. Mindset, practical knowledge, and being able to make better decisions in the business. So I love how you've said that. I think that's so important. And it's a difference, isn't it? It's a different mindset and intention in how you show up.
yes. And it's really, really worth investigating it. I mean, I will go out on a limb and say that for those of us who are in the coaching industry, because we're spending so much time supporting others, to take a break periodically, validate, and also receive, it just nourishes you back. It's like I always say to people, you can't withdraw money out of an ATM where there is no cash. If you're depleting and you're not bringing it back in, at one point is going to, is you're going to stop being able to withdraw. So I think this is really key, and I think coaches are very, very negligent about feeding themselves. And this really takes it to the next level. And you said that you said that you might take longer. My own experience, not only you for sure, this program, but several times I think I would have never arrived at that insight. Not that I would have figured some other way out, I would still have had clients, but that insight or those connections of dots that I did in this program would have never shown up in my life. That's just the truth. And I think that once you're clear that there is something that's missing in your business, I think it's really important to go out and do it the right way, or the more complete way, than picking up a seminar here, like what I call the buffet system of learning. That
Yes.
you grab a bit of this and a bit of that, and I don't think it works.
Yeah, it's
Right?
almost like drive-by education, isn't it? You can't do that. You really need to immerse, have a beginning, have a middle, have an end, and that support in there to see you through. Because I remember one of the things that you shared with us as we were going through the program, one of the huge ahas was when you had a look at your business program pathway, you realized there was quite a gap in your ideal client's journey in working with you. And that, as you could see, was a significant amount of, well, support, but also dollars for your business. Because share a little bit
Absolutely.
about that insight.
Yeah. So, and you asked this, and I'm sorry I got off on a tangent about the aha moment. So, yesterday, in preparation for this, I actually went through the coursework, right? And what I think is, my biggest aha was this program started with lucrative niche, right? And then and then really what it answers is, and when you do that, and then there are so many more modules, and I want to talk about it if we have time, Anne Marie, but the biggest aha there is that when you talk about finding out your lucrative niche, which means what can you offer that can create most value for your client and then can also deliver the most revenue to you, you identify your client. So then you know that if somebody is not responding, you already know that's not your demographic, that's not your client whose pain point you are directly addressing. The bigger aha there, the biggest aha there though, this process you walked us through, Anne Marie, really validated for me my own value and vision that I want to share. Because in the end, what we offer out is an extension of who we are.
Yes.
And if that is not a match, which means inside I'm something, but then I'm offering something. So there are 2, 3 places that misalignment can happen, right? Because it's first that I know who I am and what I want to share. 2, that's matched with what I'm offering. 3, the messaging is what the offering is. And the 4th is reaching the person whose pain point that addresses. So, there are so many, and this entire pipeline, I say to you, I think I'm fairly intelligent. I could have randomly picked up stuff, but this construction of a non-leaky pipeline, oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And this single pipeline is worth the whole program. And that was just module 1.
Yeah. You
But
know what I love about what you're saying here, and there's a number of things, and I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that. And everybody, and even I think you, Kashmira, to go back and interview some of your clients, they will reflect back golden nuggets in the work that you've done that you didn't even realize. So this entire process is something that I recommend all coaches model and do for their
yes,
business. However, one of the things that I have found, so many of us coaches, and I resonate with everything that you have said, because I was a coach and I wish someone had have said to me, here's this core business foundations, go through that, because I would have saved myself a lot of time, money, and heartache and frustration. However, some of the things that I often hear from coaches is that the reason that they do feel stuck is that they don't have the confidence or the clarity to really share their message, because there's always a little bit of doubt. There's always, well, what if someone criticizes me, or I don't feel good enough? But the process that you've just described, you're unpacking and revealing everything that was happened to you, that that you've learned. So no one can challenge you, because it is you. So there's a level of inner confidence that continues to grow as you validate, I'm enough.
yes.
My ideal clients will love my work, because every moment, every challenge, everything that I've learned has brought me to this time and place that I can be of utmost support to my client.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I'll say this again and again. Coming out of this, um, and you know me, and I've done this for 17 years. For me, it wasn't so much um, a confidence gap as much as an intuitive realization that my client had changed.
Mm.
And the world that I needed to coach into had silently changed, and COVID amplified it. Actually, it had already changed. Number one, the generation change, right? So, literally, it felt like everybody had started coaching 17 years ago were either now entrepreneurs or had quit corporate or retired. So, it had suddenly brought into leadership a whole new generation. When you coach 17 years in a space, there is a whole massive change, and this new group of people, their challenges, their pain points are, and their mindset of what they want to accomplish with their career is completely different. And so, while staying true to my own value and vision, I need to find a way to address that. Now, these are 2 things, right? Because if I just said, okay, this is what they need and I need to do this, it might not honor myself. And this program actually gives you both ends of that. So, you're starting the inquiry from how you operate, me, the coach operates, and then building your business inside out, right? So, when we talk about brand archetypes, I cannot tell you how many times I go back and look at that, because not only does it gives you the vocabulary. So, I see now that effortlessly prefer some words, because I now know that those are part of my archetypes, and that it seems immediately resonate with my ideal client,
Yes.
because So just such a small thing. So, you could use the word pride, or you could use the word excellence, or you could use the word, something else. But depending on who you are, some words just fit.
Yes.
And knowing that, being given that amazing tool, it just, so whenever I write copy, I can look at my archetype, I can see the top 10 nouns I need to go, and then copywriting becomes so much, it becomes effortless and it becomes consistent. So
Yes.
you're not going to see one set of words here, one set of words there. No, it's going to be, the same description everywhere.
Yeah.
So the brand archetypes, and then when we went into creating the program pathway, and I mean, I have said this to you again and again, Anne Marie, and I, once in about 3 or 4 months, I flash the program pathway, and you wouldn't believe it. I did this like 2 weeks ago. I got so many calls saying, "Oh, what do you do in this pillar?"
Mm.
And I'll tell you what has happened. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, Anne Maria, but when I came, and today I spent, when I came, I was hustling for 80% of my working hours. Hustling means marketing, putting it out, and everything else was 20%.
Yeah.
Today, I am hustling for 10% time, and I'm spending 90% creating value, serving clients, and quantity of business is exactly the same, if, and I would say more, because I'm now getting many more bulk projects. I'm
Yeah.
not getting, onesies and twosies. I'm like, people are calling me and say, can you do this program for us?
Mm.
Right? Like, can you do a 6 month program? Can you do a 6 week? And as
You're
you well know,
attracting the higher level clients and projects and opportunities.
absolutely, and so much resonance value wise. So I come away not feeling depleted and exhausted. Do you meet coaches who say, "Oh, I'm exhausted"? I'm not exhausted anymore
I love
because
that. You've just completely switched not only the business program pathway, obviously the content you're putting out is so on brand. You're really positioning yourself as this influential, trusted authority in your industry. You already were. However, what you said previously, it would be 80% of hustling, of marketing, so that every client, and we hear that all the time, every single client, by the time I get a client, I'm already exhausted because of the work it took me to enroll that client. And then you've got the delivery. But what you've done is you've completely switched the marketing model, the conversations, and now they're coming to you and you're spending more time and freedom, which is what we want, isn't it? I want to spend time as a coach and as a consultant working with clients, not doing all of
absolutely.
the marketing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Anne-Marie, and I'll say this, and I really thought about this, and I thought, what are the three pieces that I would have to say? The first thing I would say is that this program gave me the confidence to drop that hustle.
Mm.
Look, it takes, because there's an anxiety that, look, I'll stop showing up 5 times on LinkedIn making videos, and suddenly nobody's going to call me.
Mm.
So this program, and I attribute it because between that point and now I've done nothing else except except this program with you in terms of acquiring new information or new tools, right? And so the first thing I'll say is, this program gives you the confidence to know what level of hustle you need to do,
Mm.
right? You don't need to, like, of course, if somebody, if Oprah Winfrey calls me, I'm going there, baby.
Mm.
But, in the meantime, I don't need to chase every person at that same volume, which is what I was doing. I had no differentiation. Right now, my messaging and my the way I've set it up, that filters out. So by the time somebody reaches me, then we need to have an honest conversation, which leads to closure. So that's the first point. Second, this program is work, because you have to show up to this, and only this works when you show up, right? Because you are there, and you're amazing, and you have this program, and you have this space, and it's amazing how much one-on-one space I got with you. You think it's a group program, but I never felt that. I always got personal feedback on everything I created within the coaching space. So it's really it really never felt to me as a group program, except that I got to see other very accomplished peers, which is also inspirational, right? So the second thing is you've got to do the work. So if you're doing a program like this, allocate time. Say to yourself, every day I'm going to block 90 minutes, an hour, and I'm going to really commit to this. And then the third thing, and this is really, really important, is that you can't stop till you've had that program pathway done and the digital asset done. You need to do it and implement it
Yes.
and bring it out of the door, because it's not so much for any kind of performance metric. Is because I think in your brain, Anne-Marie, there is something in that completes that. So you've created that intention and put it out in the universe. So for you to be able to attract the results of it, you need to complete the whole work,
Yes.
right? Because I saw a lot of people like at program pathway, they're like, oh yeah, I'm working on my digital asset. No, 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 finish it all, because then the switch around happens.
Yeah.
And one other thing is declare it. I declared it when I finished the program. I got on social media and declared it, that this is now how I'm going to do business, and I would like to tell you, my community, my clients, my stakeholders, this is what's going to happen here,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that, I think, when you declare it into the universe,
Mhm.
and that can be done on the back of the work.
Yeah, it sure can. And, one of the things that I remember when you were going through the program is exactly what you have just said. You committed. You showed up to every call. You asked questions within the group. You shared things. You asked for feedback. And what I know, I believe that I remember correctly when I say this, is that you'd even gone through, as you were just trialing out the new introduction, as you went through and shaped your message, to various networking groups that you had already been a member of. So they had heard some of your introductions previously, but something clicked. Wasn't it that someone said to you, no, I've heard you say things before, but now you've really got my attention, or something like that? Can you remember
That's
that?
exactly right. I was part of several online networking groups during lockdown, and this one group that we had a chapter in India, and they're like, week over week. What? And I would go every week and I would trial out what was coming out of the program. And there was a moment where it was like, oh my gosh,
Mm,
you just switched on, and I knew that that was the right one. So,
yeah.
before I found success and significance, I thought, well, abundance and meaning. I played with this a lot. And then it was really success and significance. I thought, okay, significance is too complex. And then I thought, no, that's what lands. That was lands as it comes out of my mouth. And then it just, and people know it.
Yeah.
And if those who don't know it, in India especially, where English is not the first language, people ask. And that's a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
Because I have clients who say, what does this mean? Okay, game on. Let's
And
talk
when you
about it.
share it with them, they go, isn't it? They
Yeah,
connect with it. They instantly
absolutely,
resonate,
absolutely,
with that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the things that I think that has consistently come out in one of the things that you've just said, I mean, there are modules, and what you may not have realized, that these modules are in a sequence. I say that all of these particular modules, and there's 5 core modules in the Core Business Foundations, each of them are individually important, but together, collectively, they're crucial. And the reason we started with lucrative niche, if you don't understand your ideal client and your offering, your brand, your message, the program you put together, none of that works. So that's why
yes,
you said, unless you finish the work, you do it, and it becomes this living, breathing document.
absolutely.
Unless
Yes,
you do that, the next module, the next piece that you put in, the next foundation that you lay is not going to work. And that's what you did consistently. You built it out, you measured it, you tweaked it, then you did the next thing. And I think that's why when you finished and you started to reveal things online and with your community and networking, people started to recognize
yes,
the difference
yes,
and
yes, yes.
started to inquire. I think we need to talk. Yeah.
Yes. You say that it all builds on one another. I also think that there's a lot of care that's been taken not only in sequencing, but in loading the program. So the amount of, like the load or the amount of work you have to do kind of, you know, is begins to peak as you come into the program. So it's also very beautiful because it starts with an inquiry. It starts with almost like assessment and audits of what you're doing right now. By the time you come to the core of the program, you've really peaked in terms of intensity of discovery and growth. And then it's kind of like a ride, like a roller coaster ride. Then it becomes a smooth thing. Then it starts to flow. The whole program was the platforms you have in place, the technology. You made everything very generously available. So it wasn't, like you turned off something or turned on something. It was just all available. I think it's really key to get that as a coach, it is a relief that somebody else is doing the designing for once. Somebody else who's has figured all this out, and you just got to show up and participate.
Yes.
Right? Because normally we would be the ones thinking, okay, how can I move my client through this and this and this? And so, in another way, Anne Marie, this program also gives you a lot of tips on how you yourself can show up for your clients. So, there's also modeling of how your programs can look, apart from the fact that you gave us so many templates, so many examples that we could just copy or model on. So, if somebody's just starting from scratch, it's like, as everybody knows, it's easier to edit than create. Mm-hmm. So when you look at something beautifully made, then you can, your creative juices start flowing. And this idea that the way you actually do the program is also a modeling for, and I don't think it's just coaches. I think whoever your business, you could have like a real estate business and this would help you. I think you could have really, I'm trying to think of which business would not benefit from this. And I think that this is such, I said this to you when we did the program, Anne-Marie, and I say this should be part of some entrepreneur, toolkits or
Yes.
MBA colleges that, because this is just complete. I think it would not work for regular students because they wouldn't have a business to play against.
Yes.
But I think if you had a business that you were, I mean, even if it's a voluntary work, if I was running a nonprofit, I think this would work.
Yeah, because that's right. If you're offering expertise, a product, or a combination of those things, yes, the pillars and the foundations that we put in place are going to be relevant. You tweak it to suit your industry, of course, but I think any industry, and that's one of the things that I'll often do too. And I think you have said this too, Kashmira, is that often you will go and have a look at the different models and the different ways that other industries are doing things, and then you say, how can I adopt that? How can I adapt it and then adopt it in what I'm doing? And that just takes everything to another level, doesn't it? Of the
Absolutely.
offering, the experience.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important for people to understand the difference between being inspired and plagiarizing, right? When you look at something that's excellent, that triggers something for you, and then you can shape whatever comes up for you. So it's not so much, oh, let me just take this and, plonk it in. It's more about, oh, wow. Like, when I don't know if you remember this, when you showed us how, when you, like, 5 principles, or instead of making a random post sharing some motivational stuff on LinkedIn 5 times a week, imagine if once a week you came up with like, I'm transformation, so 5 principles of transformation, creating the content and how you do that. That was such a game changer, because now I have this one post. I created one asset about meaningful conversations. And if I remember correctly, there were like 6 aspects or 5 aspects. And I tell you, I think it must have been 5, because I remember the conversation about odd numbers. And that one post, I mean, it's so rich that I can change the narrative and post it every few months. And so what came with you was creating content, not just for programs, but even for social media that generates client conversation. Not, oh, wonderful post, thumbs up, but, oh, how can we engage?
Intentional. That's right. And that's how
Yes,
you've been able to stop the hustle and
absolutely.
that,
Absolutely.
because you're really setting intention. And what I love about that is I often will say to people, less is more, but the less is intentional. It has the thought leadership quality about it. So people will go out and seek posts. Oh, what's Kashmira posted? I know it's going to be of value. I know it's going to be thought provoking, and I know it's going to be transformational, because that's very much what you do. So what would you say to someone who may still be on the fence? They're still not sure. They still may be thinking, yeah, I can probably do this and figure it out on my own. What would you say?
Look, there are two or three things I'll say. The number one thing I'll say is, um, I have proof. So, like, if there are some people who need to see proof, and like, here is proof. I mean, you and I never knew each other till we met in the program,
Mm.
right? I mean, so it wasn't like I already knew your work or whatever. And this is proof that it happened to me over the last 18 months. So, uh, here is that. The second thing is, I think that the people who are sitting on fence, from my own experience, Anne Marie, and it might resonate with you, are sitting on the fence for one of two primary reasons. One is, I'm not sure I should spend this money right now, or I'm not sure I'll be able to give it time, right? And I am suggesting that both of those questions, actually the incorrect questions to ask yourself. The question really to ask yourself is, can your business afford you to not do this growth piece, right? Like, can you afford in this time and age not to move, to take this very, very precious opportunity to bring your business to the next level and free you up of time and energy, right? Because in the net, you really freed up time and energy, which is the primary limited resource of our time, right? So the real question to ask yourself if you're sitting on the call is that, can you afford not to? Yeah. And then the third thing, and I say this, I've always said this to you, if for those who see this and want to reach out to me for more information, Anne Marie, you know how to reach me, they're welcome to email me, and I'm happy to share, like, the assets I developed, more details. I think that there is great comfort in knowing that somebody who's on the same path with you has benefited from something, right? Like, and this is not like, oh, this restaurant is good or whatever. It's really a little bit more deeper, that could someone like me benefit? This is my value system. So for those whose value systems resonate, will know when they watch this video, connect with me. I'm happy to share the very tangible outcome of this program. I have about, I mean, yesterday, because I was preparing for this, I counted. I created 52 discrete assets in this program, right? And they're all there, and I use them again and again and again. I don't need to reinvent it.
Yes.
It's just, it's there, And I could do more follow-ups, but these don't need to be tweaked for a while.
And
So
that
that's a lot.
is so good as you're continuing to grow business, because if you had to start all of those things from scratch and you didn't have clarity and your message wasn't as clear as obviously yours now is, that's when you really can't build momentum. But you've built the momentum you need, and now you just continue to do that over and over. And you spend, I think you said now, 80 to 90% of working with clients and 10% doing the marketing piece, because clients are now and opportunities are coming to your door, higher level opportunities.
Anne Marie, I have to say, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, like, is this just luck? Like, this can't be true, right? Like, it's like, oh, she said it, but it can't be true. And I have to say, like, I just want to put this out. I mean, I'm going to declare it here. My intention is to come back to a program with you this year. And like, and I'm already allocating the time on my calendar, and I'm just already speaking to my partner about putting the monies together, because I think it's time. It's been 2 years, and I want to now take it up to the next level. So, this also, it's only when you come up that one step that more things become visible, right? If I'm standing on the ground and then I'm on the second floor, I feel like now I'm a little bit higher, and now I can aspire to now, even, grow and not stop here. So I have to say, I'm not done yet.
Oh, that's right. And that's the thing with growth, isn't it? And as coaches, we continue to grow and expand, and that continues to flow on to our community, to clients obviously, but also community as a whole, because it shows in the confidence, so in the community and our confidence, and the confidence we empower others to have. And that's one of the things that I love about working with change makers such as yourself, is that we know that together we certainly are better, because every conversation, every podcast, every article, every post that we share continues to be the change in the world, and really continue to inspire change.
Absolutely. And it's not remiss, Anne Marie, to say that for those of us who truly feel that we run a business, we create value, we ask for compensation for that value, at the bottom of it, or at the foundation of it all, it is in service. And when you want to, I mean, would you not want to offer, when you think of it, if you're really feeling this feeling of service, don't you want to bring the best, the freshest, the newest, the highest quality, right? I mean, when you offer something and it comes out of that space of service, it then cannot be substandard. It cannot be less than the best that I can be. I'm not in comparison. I'm just challenging my own self to show up and offer my best self to this world.
Yeah, I love that.
And yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And so for people who are watching, some of them may actually be your ideal clients too, Kashmira. So how can they connect with you? What's the best way for them to find out
I
more?
think the best way is to send me an email on LinkedIn. I'm Kashmira Mody, transformation coach, and then we begin the conversation.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I just love your work. You really are an incredible and gifted coach and consultant who really is making so much of an impact with your expertise and the message. So continue to, impact with your message.
Thank you, Anne Marie, and I want to say thank you because for me, you are exceptional because you model excellence, and the the value, the intention, the quality of being, and of course, as all Aussies, no BS, you get it straight. So, like these, I mean, I'm the president of your fan club. So, unapologetically, I mean, blessed will be the person who signs up to work with you. I really feel this, and I genuinely, on behalf of you, invite people to give it, be curious, find out more, because this will be a game changer.
Thank you so much.